How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel and welcome to my review of The Front Room. The film tells the story of a young couple's life that is thrown into disarray when they reluctantly agree to take in the man's estranged stepmom. As tension rises, the couple's seemingly normal home becomes a battleground of paranoia and fear. So I went into this movie knowing basically nothing about this movie. I think I watched a trailer here and there, but I vaguely remember what was in the trailers. The real hook for me was Brandy because I grew up watching Cinderella with her in the title roles. So seeing her step into the horror genre again after I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, that kind of had me intrigued. And knowing that this was going to be an A24 film, you know that this movie isn't really just going to be playing into the horror tropes. There's going to be something underneath the surface that weren't shown in the trailers. It definitely goes for a different vibe than what you might be led to believe, because if you go into this movie just seeing the trailers, then you're going to be going into a movie where you're going to be scared shitless, and that's far from what this movie is. The film is directed by Sam and Max Eggers. I believe they are Robert Eggers brothers. You can definitely tell that it's them because they wrote The Lighthouse, and quite frankly, to this day, I have no idea what the hell that movie was supposed to be about. Watched it once, never really had the urge to watch it again. That's exactly what's going to probably happen with The Front Room, because the film also stars Andrew Burnap as Brandy's husband and Catherine Hunter, who plays the wicked stepmom. And this movie is not going to work for a lot of people because it is far from what the trailers showed. It is a completely different movie than I thought it was going to be, and I just left this movie confused because even though we have some great performances from Brandy, I think she did a great job with the material that she is given, and there are some moments of tension here and there. When you need to have a movie filled with a lot of tension, I think Sam and Max do a really good job of bringing that tension out and having some great atmosphere here and there. I think the set design of the house is great. The movie is 90 minutes, so automatically that movie is going to be a 10 out of 10 for me. But then we hit the wicked stepmom coming into the house, and it just goes into a completely different movie, because then it turns out to be pretty much a Saturday morning cartoon. What you think is going to be a horror movie where you're going to get some scares here and there and you're going to come out having a thrilling good time, boy does it take a really left turn, because it just turns it into a movie that is filled with literally nothing but piss and shit. From the moment the stepmom, played by Catherine Hunter, comes into the picture and comes into the house, that's exactly what this movie pretty much is. And that is going to turn away a lot of people, because that is not the movie that they signed up for. Seeing how the embargo for this movie lifted yesterday, the day the movie came out, and it's pretty divisive amongst the critics. You got one half that likes it, the other half that completely hates this movie and doesn't know exactly what this movie is. That is kind of like the de facto side that I'm leaning on, because you have ridiculous characters that, quite frankly, don't know how they made it this far in life, because you have Belinda, who puts a nursery right next to the front door. So when you walk in, there's an empty room in the living room, and that is where she's going to be keeping her newborn. You can definitely tell that this movie is written by somebody that has never had a kid, because why the fuck are you going to be putting a baby right next to the front entrance, where one, a robber can come in and unalive the baby before you can even get to the bottom of this fucking stairs. Two, if there's a house fire, the kitchen is right next to the living room or in the living room. By the time that you reach the stairs, the fire is probably going to be going into the fucking nursery. Two, what if a car slams into the house and you have your baby in the nursery, and by the time that you reach the stairs, the baby's already gone. So that right there kind of teaches you that they are not ready to have a kid. So there are characters in here that you are just going to absolutely hate just because of the idiotic decisions. For the most part, what they do with Andrew Burnup's character, there are moments here and there where he makes the most ridiculous assumptions and the most ridiculous moves that I have seen in quite a while. The characters are nothing to really write home about. There's nothing really in here that really sticks out to me besides the whole pissing and shitting. And this is a movie that you're either going to absolutely hate or you're going to like. for the most part. I don't see anybody coming out of this movie and loving it just because it goes in a wild different direction that you're not going to be expecting, and that is not going to play for a lot of people because you might be going into this movie wanting to get some scares here and there, but once we get into like the 30-minute mark, somewhere around there, and we have Solange just going batshit crazy and just doing the most ridiculous and most heinous things. You either accept it for what it is, which seems to bring out some of the campiness that it was trying to go for. I just don't think it hit those marks correctly because I don't know what this movie was trying to do or say. But the moment that it becomes unintentionally funny, that is where I'm going to be having a timeout and trying to figure out exactly where this movie wants to go. I feel like this movie kind of has a mistaken identity of what it's trying to be. It's trying to be a horror psychological thriller, and at one point it's trying to be a campy movie just meshed into this psychological horror movie. That's going to work for some people. For a lot of people, you're just going to come out thinking this is the worst thing you have ever seen and probably will be thinking that it's going to be the worst film of the year. There are some moments here and there where I can kind of see the positives, but it's been almost 24 hours since I've seen this movie. The more that I think about it, the more I'm like, I went from thinking I liked it to the point where I'm just like, this is a movie that I'm not going to rewatch anytime soon. And I don't see a lot of people rewatching this movie a lot or ever. I think it's fine for a cable watch if you have nothing else to do. But other than that, it's a movie that I was really interested in, wanted to see what kind of directions it was going to be going for, but it just missed a lot of those marks. And overall, I'm going to go ahead and give The Front Room a 2.5 out of 10. It's a movie that I think has some strong performances from Brandy and Catherine Hunter. The direction that this movie turns into, you are going to either be confused or think it's just absolutely garbage. But those are my thoughts on The Front Room. Are you guys planning on checking this film out, or are you just going to skip it overall? Go ahead, drop your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys for the next video.